we heard this story about how you got to like sit at the front of the plane.
Yeah. It was like 12 seats or something in first class. Me and Kamakari were like, what are we doing here? Like, how did we end up here? And I think someone was like, that's how you know how young this team is when Jenna and Kat McCart are in first class. And we were like talking about how many caps we have. I think I only have like 17 or something. And I was like, wow, it's actually insane that I somehow am at the front. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy the extra leg room.
Today, I am so excited to have a familiar face back on the women's game, former NWSL Rookie of the Year, recent gold medal winner, and even more recently, a defender for Arsenal, Jenna Nighswonger. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to have you. It feels like a million years ago since we spoke last summer. You were actually getting ready to go to your very first Olympics in Paris, and we talked so much about tactically what you would need to do to bring home the gold, which you did. But we also spoke a little bit about how to actually like enjoy the Olympic experience. So I just wanted to start us off right back where we left off. What was your favorite moment of the Olympics?
I think obviously like winning gold is your most favorite experience, but I like love the beach so much. So there were so many moments like we had off days to like go to the beach and just like relax. And we were in Nice, and the day of the game I like went for a swim, and that I think was like one of my favorite moments, because like the water was beautiful and it was warm, and I was just like completely like zen. I think that was like my favorite moment. I just like love being in the water so much. So it was so pretty in France.
That is actually really cool. I remember at the World Cup in France in 2019, I had this one day where I like got to go meet up with my husband Pat, and we like walked along the water, and I remember it so vividly because it was like before the final, and I felt like a real human being, and I was like having this kind of non-soccer experience that just made, I don't know, it like put the whole thing into context for me, which was actually really, really cool. It's one of my most vivid memories of the tournament. When did your Olympic experience and like winning gold start to sink in and feel real for you?
Kind of like maybe the day after slash like never. I think sometimes I'm like, oh wait, I have a gold medal. Like what? I think the team was just like really good at like staying present and taking it like one game at a time, which I think helps you kind of not get overwhelmed with like the whole experience of it. So I think by the time like we were in the final, we were like, okay, we're in the final, like one game left, and helps you kind of like appreciate like where your feet are in that moment. And then, yeah, being on like the podium, we were like, okay, wow, like we actually won. This is so cool.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. It was so fun to watch. You all did so great. I know that last time you were with us here, you said that your family was all going to come and watch, and we know that your dad is a big soccer fan. How incredible was it to share this experience with your family and especially your dad?
I think it's just fun to share these kinds of experiences with them, because I also appreciate and I know how much they sacrificed for me to get this far in soccer. Like, obviously, both my parents had to take off work or give up their own like free time to like drive me to endless soccer trainings or like go to the park with me and play. So I think that, or I hope that they take all of these wins as wins of their own, because they did so much for me. So like to be with them in the moment is like so much fun, because I love them so much and I'm just so thankful for everything that they've done.
I know. That's so incredible. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about like the on-field part of the Olympics. The US like dominated. You guys won every game. You only let 2 goals in against you, and you just generally gave US women's national team fans such an incredible like shot of hope. So knowing that your fans and people around the world were watching, I imagine that added like a lot of pressure. This is your first major tournament, but at least you were sharing the field with a lot of your former Gotham teammates who are mostly longtime national team veterans. Did any of those players like help keep you really grounded or give you any advice that you remember?
I honestly think that just having them around, and everyone was so easy to talk to, that keeps you grounded in yourself. Like, I would go to Alyssa Nair and just like have the best conversation with her in the morning, and I'm speaking to Alyssa Nair. She's accomplished so much, and she's like taking the time to like speak with me and have like these great conversations. I think that keeps you like humbled and present, because they've like people in the team have accomplished so much, but they're also so humble and like down to earth and just like care about everyone so much. And I think that was also why we did so well is because everyone was like fighting so much for each other.
I think that conversations like that, like especially in the meal room, especially with legends like Alyssa, they also make you feel like a part of the team. I remember like one time in the meal room, like Pino confided something personal in me, and I was kind of like, I'm the only one here. Like, am I on the team now?
Yeah, are you friends? Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just think that that personal and like social element really, really helps. I feel like the team kind of had this kind of something to prove mindset. You had the new coach with Emma Hayes, a lot of new faces on the team. It felt like a big statement after what happened at the 2023 World Cup. How did it feel to kind of be part of the new age of the U.S. women's national team and to get your career started with such an incredible bang?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of like this new era, I guess, or like new stage coming off of the Olympics. So I think that we're so happy to have won the Olympics, but I think also in camp we kind of had that attitude of like there's so much more that we want to achieve, which I think is really exciting because it's a group of girls and coaches that want to achieve so much and are hungry for more than just an Olympic gold.
So the next major tournament that the team competed in was the She Believes Cup. We came in second to Japan, and Jen and I are recording just a few weeks after that loss. I was talking to Lynn about how camp was with all the new faces, and Lynn told us a funny story. She said that, Jenna, even though you only have like 20 caps, you're like one of the more senior players now in camp because so much of this team is so new. So we heard this story about how you got to like sit at the front of the plane.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
It was like 12 seats or something in first class. And I was like, me and Kamakari were like, what are we doing here? Like, how did we end up here? And I think someone was like, that's how you know how young this team is when Jenna and Kat McCarr are in first class. And we were like talking about how many caps we have. I think I only have like 17 or something. And I was like, wow, it's actually insane that I somehow am at the front. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy the extra leg room.
I mean, yeah, enjoy it. You obviously deserve it. But so it's because there were limited first class seats. So the players with the most caps got to sit up there.
Yeah. And I somehow was there.
I know Lynn was like, I only just reached this threshold and now like Jenna is already here, which is so great and so incredible. You should enjoy it. Do you feel then like a veteran or do you feel like you only just got here?
I think that sometimes I like try to put things into perspective and I'm like, I've only been on the team for a year. I don't feel like a veteran. I feel like very much I have still like many things to prove and a lot to still like work on and everything. So that's kind of my mentality.
I definitely get that. I feel like even after I had won the World Cup, I was still like, I don't know, like I still need so much room to grow. And like, I hesitated to even say I was on the team. I would always just say like, well, I'm called into the next camp. And so I'm on the team for that camp. Was there a moment during this recent She Believes tournament that you felt like you could step up and set an example being one of the more experienced players on that roster?
I'm always someone that likes to like communicate and have like conversations with girls on the team. So whether it's like defensively, maybe there's something that like I think a player should be doing differently or I should be doing differently. I think that I more so look at it as like helping the team rather than like I'm setting an example and like being a leader, that kind of thing. So I think that I always try to have like those conversations, but I don't necessarily think I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and like try and be a leader today. I'm just honestly like trying to get better myself and like help the team get better.
That's such a great mentality and attitude. I just have one more question about the national team, and then I want to talk about Arsenal. There's this next slate of friendlies coming up in April. Is there anything you can share with us about Emma's mindset or something she's maybe shared with the group that will give fans an idea of what to expect from this team in the next couple months?
I think that we're like just like hungry to win. Like I think that we're working so hard to get better. Emma's doing like a really good job of helping us like learn new tactics and try to become very flexible in the way that we play. So I think that everyone should be like excited about our future and like our style of play. And we're honestly excited. Obviously the games are very big. So we're going to go in and like try to win both games, of course, but also we want to just get better every time that we step out on the field and go into camp too.
Well, I'm very excited to watch. It's going to be an exciting Olympics gold medal match rematch against Brazil. So I can't wait to see. Before you're back on the field with the US, you've got a lot of soccer to play over in England with Arsenal. Everybody was so excited and surprised when you, the 2023 Rookie of the Year in the NWSL, left the league in Gotham this January. So I'm really, really curious about how this journey started for you. Did your interest in playing overseas peak maybe from some of your international experience and playing outside the States more, maybe chatting with fellow U.S. Women's National Team defender Emily Fox? How did your interest kind of get piqued into going to England?
I've honestly always wanted to go to Europe. Like, I've always said that. So I think that I've just been kind of always wanting to like get my foot in the door. I think since I was like 8, I've wanted to play Champions League so badly. Yeah, I just felt like maybe it was a good time to just like try and see if I could go to a team in England. I'm just like so happy to like be at Arsenal and play. No, I'm just like really excited. I think that to play for a club like this is just so exciting, and it's an opportunity where I was like, I want to take it. I have to take it because it's a great like step in my career. It's a great opportunity to be very uncomfortable and just try to work on getting better.
I felt so similarly when I wanted to go to Man City. It was pretty soon after having a successful World Cup, and I just felt this really strong desire to like go and try something new and expose myself to a new style and a new culture. And it was kind of equal parts like life experience and soccer experience. And I think that I'm so excited for you to see how this goes and to see you kind of like learn in this new environment. How did the conversations with Arsenal start?
My agent just called me when I was like, Arsenal is interested in you. And I was like through the roof. I was very excited. And then when I was at camp in the January camp, we had like a recruitment call where I got on the phone with Claire and Renee, and we kind of just like talked through the possibility of like me coming. And I was very like excited about what Renee had to say about like where her visions for the club and everything. So, and for me personally, so I felt like a right fit.
That's incredible. I know that you've said already in the media that Emma Hayes didn't really like push you one way or the other, obviously, to go overseas or not. But what did she say when you told her you were going to go to Arsenal?
She was excited for me. She was just like, I was at camp and I was like, oh yeah, like I think I might be going to Arsenal. And she was like, excited because it's a really good team. And then she was like, I honestly just want you to be happy, like wherever you go.
I also imagine that it was exciting to get to tell your family and your dad. I mentioned your dad's a huge Premier League fan. How did he and your family react to the news that you were going to a club as big and historic as Arsenal?
They were very excited. I think just because I was so excited that they could like feel my excitement through it. My mom came and like helped me pack up my apartment in New Jersey, and it was kind of like we were there for like 48 hours together, and we were just like, oh my God, like we kept saying to each other, like, I can't believe that we're like I'm moving across like the world. And they're visiting in April. So I keep telling them like, I'm so excited to show them around, and they're going to like get to see London and go to a few games. So I'm really excited for them to come.
Did they get to go to a Premier League game as well?
I'm trying to like look on the schedule. I keep forgetting like when they're coming, but I'm trying to see if I can hopefully get them to go to a game at the Emirates just so that they can like see the atmosphere and everything.
Oh, that would be so cool. Well, I'm excited. I know. How are you enjoying London? It's so far from where you grew up with your family in Southern California. What's been like, has there been any culture shock? Like what have you liked about it? Like tell us about your experience in London.
I've been really enjoying it. Foxy and I have been doing stuff like on our off days. She's been like so helpful and like so great. We like live in the same apartment building. Like,
oh my God, cute.
Yeah,
me and Rose lived in the same apartment building in Manchester. It was so fun.
It's so fun. So on off days, like she's just been kind of like being like a tour guide and taking me and like seeing new places. So we've been to like Spitalfields, Notting Hill, other places too. But yeah, we've just been like having so much fun. I've been like loving just walking around the city and seeing like different parts of it. I think that I think like there's not so much of a culture shock because we speak the same language, so it's like pretty easy, but it's just like beautiful. I think that the buildings here are just like so pretty. There's so much like personality and everything here.
I know, and like so much character in like the kind of iconic English neighborhoods, like the buildings and the parks I feel like are so beautiful. I have like a couple of England questions for you. Are you learning like Celsius? Like do you tell the temperature in Celsius?
No. I think I'm like try to learn but I think I'll always think in Fahrenheit. I know like 30 degrees is really hot in Celsius.
30?
Yeah, I think that's like really warm.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was gonna like quiz you and be like, how would you react if I said it was 20?
And then
And it's like, I don't know.
I think if it's 10, it's like cold, right? Yeah. So then 20 I think is like pretty
Oh.
good.
20 is
But
like maybe like 60?
okay, yeah. But it's funny. It's been sunny. It's been sunny the past like 5 days here.
Oh,
And
are
it's
people
crazy to
freaking
me. Like
out?
it's like 60 degrees, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And like people
Okay.
in shorts and like t-shirts and like tank tops. And it's like so funny because it's like finally we're seeing the sun and everyone just like goes crazy and doesn't know what to do with themselves. It's so nice.
I know. Living in Manchester, actually feel like it's even rainier and
Yeah.
cloudier. And so, again, like to your point, it would be like 60 and like barely sunny. And everybody would just like emerge in tank tops, but everybody was just so like pale.
Yeah, and I was like lathering the sunscreen on, like it's like 100 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so funny. And everybody would just emerge and like day drink in public. And I was like, wow, like the barrier for like day drinking in the sun is so low, but like I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
my other England question. Do you like the beans, like the breakfast beans, like beans on toast?
No. Like I could eat it. I could eat it if it was like my only option for breakfast. But I'm not really like I don't really eat a lot of beans, honestly. So I
Mm,
think that I've passed on them every day. But it is like very common here.
I know. I at our facility, now I'm just like telling you all my own stories, but at our facility, they would serve beans for breakfast every day, and so when we had early games, it would be there for pregame, and I would like, you know how Rose is, like she gets grossed out by food.
Like gags, yeah.
So like I would literally, Jenna, get a bowl of beans with poached eggs, and I would like dip my toast in it, and Rose would watch me like so appalled, but I
To like
literally
be mean to her, like as a joke, or were you like
no, because I loved the beans. The beans are so good.
I don't know, that's a lot of fiber for pregame. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it was like probably not great, but then like also the texture, like I would also just get the poached egg and like pop it in there. So it was just like mush, bean, egg, toast.
No comment.
No comment. Okay, so no Celsius, no beans on toast. We'll have to see what London English things you do pick up. You've said, and honestly, I feel like all of us who have played in both leagues have said that the NWSL is a little bit more transitional and the WSL is a little bit more tactical. I know we're so early in your time at Arsenal, but are there any other differences that you maybe didn't expect to find?
I do kind of think that the NWSL is more transitional where the WSL is more tactical. I mean, you're obviously gonna get the odd like super transitional games and the odd like tactical games where the NWSL games are more tactical
For
than maybe
sure.
like an odd, yeah. I haven't really noticed like too many things different. I think like in the top leagues in London, it is wild how I look around and I'm surrounded by a bunch of like international players, which I think is cool. So you're just learning like so many different cultures and I'm getting to like meet so many new cool people and I think that's really fun. Yeah, like the level of training is just so high that I feel like I really am like getting better and I'm being challenged every day.
Arsenal has players from so many different national teams on its team. And I know that you have said that you were so looking forward to playing alongside your U.S. Women's National Team teammate, Emily Fox, and then legendary Irish defender, Katie McCabe. And I find this so fascinating because you did sign for a team with so many great players who play outside back. I know, Jenna, that you're super versatile. You've dabbled in other positions throughout your career forward. I think you even made your Arsenal debut in the midfield. So, how are you feeling about this opportunity to compete for playing time at Arsenal?
Yeah, I think like I knew what the situation going into this year would be. Like obviously, Katie and Foxy are having great seasons, and so are like the other defenders. So I think that right now it's just putting my head down and I'm just want to get better every day and be intentional with my training because I don't know what kind of playing time I'm gonna get. And as someone that's on the bench and trying to work for a starting spot, my job is to just try to like push the defenders to also be better as well and try to make the choice hard for the coach. So I think that I kind of have that mindset for this year where I just really want to get better and be a good teammate.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great attitude. How do you think your versatility will play into this? Like, do you imagine that we could see you at forward or midfield again?
I don't know. I'm honestly just, I am like committed to playing left back. So I'm really just trying to like get better. And that's what I've been working on individually. So I don't know. It kind of depends. I think it just depends. I'm happy to play like wherever the team needs me. But I think most likely going forward, I'll probably be left back.
You mentioned earlier in this interview how excited you were for Champions League. So I want to talk about this a little bit. As we've said, you've grown up such a huge soccer fan. And for our listeners who may be unfamiliar, can you explain the allure of the Champions League for a young player? Like, what is it about Champions League? Why is it the top club tournament in the world?
I think just like the fact that it's the best of the best playing each other. Yeah, like I grew up watching the men's Champions League and it was always like the best games. My dad would like pull me out of school sometimes, like say I had a doctor's appointment if there was like a game that we really wanted to watch at like 12 o'clock. So I think it was, I just like grew up. And when you grow up watching those kinds of games, you just also like want to be involved in those as well. So I think that that's what made it like really exciting. And then I think now that it's here, it's like very exciting just to be involved in the kind of tournament with so much history.
I know. I do think that the history of the Champions League is so hard to match. I know that there are lots of other club tournaments being talked about, getting started up across the world. And I just think that Champions League has that history and like place in everybody's heart and mind where, I mean, your memory of watching it as a kid and getting pulled out of school is so incredible. But maybe the opportunity to create more memories like that is what will lend, some credibility to these other tournaments. We're recording this interview just before your quarterfinal kicks off and just after Arsenal was knocked out of the FA Cup competition. How do you think losing out on one trophy makes this next leg of Champions League even more important for your team?
We're honestly just excited about going into the next two games against Real Madrid. As a team, it's like most important to just focus on the game that you have ahead. We want to be like ready to put our best foot forward and closing out the year with the WSL and then hoping and competing to win the Champions League now.
Oh, that's so cool that you get to say that. You mentioned you're playing against Real Madrid. We know that this soccer in Spain is so incredibly strong. And there are also lots of other great teams in the tournament and lots of U.S. players. Lindsay Heaps, Kat Macario, Naomi Girma, obviously Emily Fox, who's on your team with you. What is your team thinking about facing Real Madrid? Any tactics or mindset that you guys have been talking about around Champions League or around Real Madrid?
I think it's a bit hard because obviously we want to win, but we do have like the game like this weekend at hand. So I think that we're kind of like trying to focus on like the one game at a time. So we haven't really talked about Real Madrid too much because we have a big game coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really interesting parts about having so many tournaments going on at once in English soccer is that we all are thinking about like looking ahead to Champions League, but of course, day to day, you guys as a team, you have other games in between those that you have to focus on and give all of your attention to. So I guess I won't even ask any more follow-up questions about the future of Champions League because I know that you have to focus on the game you have coming up. I only have one more question for you. I know you're only 24. You've already had so much success, Jenna, at the club and international level. You won an NWSL championship for Gotham in your first year. You won a gold medal at the Olympics. And now you're a regular face on the U.S. women's national team and for the historic club Arsenal in Europe. When you think about the future of your career over the next, 10 years, what goals do you have for yourself?
It's funny because like I don't really feel like I've accomplished that much. So I think that I still have like so much that I want to improve upon and just to become like a better player. So I think some of my goals, like I want to make the World Cup team in 2027 and I want to become a regular starter for the national team. Those are some of my like national team goals. And then for Arsenal, similarly, like I want to become a starter and like make an impact on the team, win the FA Cup, win the Champions League. Just, I really like it here. So I really want to make an impact and just get better.
Incredible. Do you have any personal goals or anything that like has nothing to do with soccer?
I'm trying to read one nonfiction book per month.
Oh my God, what a great goal. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading Daring Greatly.
Okay. Is that Brene Brown?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Jenna, that's so cool.
And then I read Okay, well, I'm kind of failing because I've only read one other nonfiction. But I was reading Onyx Storm and it was like really long. But I also read Beauty Sick, which is also a really good book if you need a nonfiction. It's like how media influences the way like women think about themselves and their body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another goal of mine is just like to discover the city and just enjoy life in London outside of soccer. Like, who knows how long I'm going to be here. So I want to make the most of every moment.
Oh my gosh. Those are such incredible goals. We do have like a little book club going on here at the women's game, so I'm sure people are going to be excited to hear what you're reading. I am going to let you get back to telling the temperature in Celsius, Jenna, but this was so much fun. I really am rooting for you. I think that taking a step like this was so brave, and so I'm excited to see how much you grow as a player, and it's really, really fun watching your career. So thank you so much for joining us today, and know that you have a lot of fans over here at TWG.
Thank you. I always enjoy talking to you, and thanks for having me on the podcast.
Oh my God, of course. Thanks, Jenna. I'm so excited to witness this new era of Jenna's career, and it was really great to chat with her about her decision to head to Arsenal. I think it was a really brave decision, and I'm excited to see how she grows over the remainder of this season and into the next one. Thank you all so much for listening. We have our usual cadence of content next week, with Good Vibes dropping on Tuesday and a really exciting Friendlies episode with Norway captain and Lyon striker Ada Hegerberg dropping on Thursday. This is kind of a huge deal, everybody. Ada is one of the most iconic players in the world. She won the inaugural Ballon d'Or award in 2018, and she'll be leading Norway's national team at the Euros this summer. I'm so honored that she decided to come on our show and share some of her story. This is one you don't want to miss, so please make sure you're subscribed to our podcast feed and YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing this podcast with a friend. TWG is growing, and we want our audience to grow too. We appreciate you all so much, and we love to hear from you. So feel free to send me an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. I am off to Raleigh. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.